See what was, tell everybody to wait. I went up to see what was happening, saw he was all tangled up in it. Didn't know how he was going to get him out of it. I turned around and the whole platoon's behind me. Just if it had gone off, that'd been good. The end of our platoon. Everybody's curious, but it gets you in big trouble sometimes. Anyway, that's where he got out of there okay. It turned out to be a dud again, so thank goodness. One little trick gimmick that somebody came up with one time was what they call the eagle flights. They'd take the platoon leader. I got to go out in one of these little small observation helicopters and say, okay, here's where we're going to bring you right here. You go back and they bring about a squad of you out there, and you were supposed to, that's where they suspected the enemy to be, and they dropped you off there and said, if you get in trouble, call for help. I don't know who thought up that plan, but it wasn't very good, but we did it anyway. We didn't have to do that very long, thank goodness. I think somebody must have realized that wasn't really that smart. And I'm glad, especially. Now, after, I think about early '68, end of January, the generals were all saying they could see the light at the end of the tunnel, things were looking good. And then the Chinese New Year Tet happened. The North Vietnamese, Viet Cong came out of the woodwork. And you know what happened in the press over here? Why, it was just, we were already having plenty of anti-war stuff at that time, and that really got it going really good after that happened. And actually, in reality, them coming out of the woodwork, even though they had some initial advantage by taking over some of the towns and places, it led to practically annihilation of the VC. And the ones and the North Vietnamese that came out in the open. So that was the trouble before, you couldn't find them. So now they came out, and it was fighting on our terms then. And but by the press over here, after the generals telling them everything was looking good, well then all of a sudden we wanted more troops, and that was about to kind of sent Lyndon Johnson over the edge, I think, from that experience. After Tet, it got real exciting. Every day you went out, somebody shot at you, which for the first 6 months, occasionally somebody did, and sometimes, most of the time they didn't. But after Tet, there was plenty of North Vietnamese down there in the South, everywhere. One of the, I eventually, getting toward the end of my tour, would have been June. I was sent back to the weapons platoon. We were so short of people most of the time that weapons platoon usually worked as a rifle platoon during the daytime, and we were only on weapons at night. So I had the weapons platoon again, but I took out the 3rd platoon couple of days. The officer there got a chance for a 3-day pass down to Vung Tau at the beach. I'd never been there. I should have taken it, but I let him do it. Anyway, we went out. The thing we didn't do too right, we went out in the same area a couple of days in a row, same place, looking for weapons and food storage and all that kind of stuff. And the 3rd day, we were going to go back out there again. But the company commander, about that same night, the platoon sergeant for that platoon came back off of R&R. And he was, so the company commander said, well, if he's here, let him go. They went out the same place, and the sniper killed him. So I'm glad I wasn't out there that day. So, let's see, I guess on the 15th of May was the day I remember. That was about my last day of duty in Vietnam. I had 30 days to go. I was taking out another platoon for some reason. I don't know. It wasn't mine. The third one again. And there was two platoons. The second platoon and the third platoon. We hadn't gone far. We weren't very far north of Saigon either. I forget the name of it. The town was named Tu Duc. And there was South Vietnamese on the bridge. We crossed over across the highway, and we didn't get probably 1,000 yards in there. And there's a NVA base camp, and of course the second platoon was leading, and I was at the very back. When I heard all the firing start, and that's the first time I'd really heard North Vietnamese. They all had automatic weapons, heavy machine guns. You normally didn't hear that kind of stuff, but when you hear it, you just knew what it was. So they got into a lot of trouble. We had 9 people killed and 15 wounded that day, and I was one of the wounded. You saw my picture there. I got shot in the calf and came up and broke a bone above my knee. So of course, the first thing you do, you get in the base camp there, you know, you're kind of fighting your way back out. We did that. You call in some artillery, and of course, good old infantry thing, after you've done that, you go back in. So we did that again. That didn't work out too good either. We came back out, got some airstrikes and artillery in there, and then it's, you know, got this kind of little depression there that went down toward the river, and that's where their base camp was. And we were up kind of on a little higher ground with where our rice paddies. And we had a lot of helicopter landing, getting more ammo and taking out the wounded and the dead. And then we decided that, you know, it was time to go back in. And at the end of that rice paddy, I was taking my platoon. There was a enemy bunker right in the very end of the, I get a little emotional. There's an enemy bunker at the end of that rice paddy. And the people in there had never fired a weapon all the time we were landing all those helicopters and all the other stuff. They were just I don't know why they didn't. That's a good thing. So we're walking right toward it when they opened fire. Well, you know, of course, first thing you hit the ground, and I did. And I had my radio operator beside me, and so we were kind of pinned down there. So I get on the radio to the other squad. Fortunately, I had on out. They flanked around and knocked out that machine gun there. I got hit in the hand then. The scar kind of looked like, you can see where I was holding my M16. It just kind of split my hand open, which didn't hurt. I mean, I remember hearing it just go splat, and that's it. So put a bandage on it. It was okay, but it didn't bleed. But after they knocked out that machine gun, that bunker, well, we walked on over there. And somebody said, well, that's a pretty close call. And I said, no, I just got hit in the hand. And he said, no, I mean your back. And I said, well, what? And you carried your C rations for the day in a sock on you, tied it on the back of your harness. Like I had a Coke can in there, and you know, 2 or 3 cans of C rations. I had 5 bullet holes in those cans. You know, from being on the ground, I guess it just went through when I was going down. So that was another time that was, you know, kind of close. So then we're in the base camp, fairly quiet in there, throwing some grenades in the bunkers that were there. I was carrying 2 or 3 grenades with me at the time. I think 2 of them were duds out of the 3 I carried. They probably were World War II grenades. So we always taped them. We never wanted any of the South Vietnamese soldiers. Anytime they came out with you, they'd be walking along just kind of carrying their gun like they were going squirrel hunting. And and they'd have grenades hanging all over them, that, the vines and stuff can pull the pet out, So we always kind of taped ours, and you could always get it off pretty quick. But they didn't, so you didn't really want them anywhere near you. Get back there, but, don't get near me. Anyway, while we were in base camp, I think we had it mopped up, thought we did. The company commander and his 2 radio operators were standing beside me when somebody jumped out of the bunker and started firing. Fortunately for me, they started on that end. He and his radio operator were killed, but I was on the ground with my radio operator doing a low crawl, and that's when I got shot in both legs. And so then, wound up with a cast there. Anyway, I was in there quite a while before we got another company commander sent out there, and I put a tourniquet on my leg. That was kind of what we did, and I think they've kind of got away from tourniquets these days, but at that time you still, if you had a wound, you put a tourniquet on it. So our radio operator was holding that tourniquet on my leg, and we were getting artillery rounds fired in there, and the flak from those artillery rounds was just floating through the air, and it was hot. And it'd land on me, it'd land on him. Every time it landed on him, he'd twist that tourniquet. So anyway, that finally, the guy never came over to me, so I think he must have got away that was shot at me. So anyway, eventually I got a medic over and got some morphine, and I was feeling fine then. I was sent back to an aid station after several hours, and then probably for about a week I was still in Vietnam. Then I was flown to Hachikawa Air Force Base in Japan. It was a week there or so. I can't remember. I was drugged up pretty good, so I don't really remember. My wife did track me down in that hospital in Japan. So, you can find people. I couldn't have done that, but she did. So, then I was sent to San Antonio. I was in the hospital there. That's where that is, in Traction. And